I've quested and trained up a new pure account. I'll be starting out at 57 combat when I PK, but I built the account to have really low hit points, so it could be terrible for all I know. Offensive stats are looking good for rushing and teleblocking, which I'm gonna do in my max gear setup a little bit later. A motivating part of building up a new account was trying to figure out the fastest training methods for the future of training this account. Today I'm gonna show you what I discovered from over 50 hours of theory crafting and testing across multiple account builds and playstyles. Everybody sleeps on the Salve Amulet Enchanted. With its 20% increase in accuracy and strength, and the ability to unlock it with very little time at a low level, this has to be one of the best upgrades to XP rates, even surpassing any defender and the Piety Prayer. But all those combined, you're looking at some broken XP rates that allow you to hit your goal level very quickly. That's why I got the 40 Slayer requirement and got the salve on this pure account. The catch is you have to use it against undead monsters. So I tested probably 50 kinds of undead monsters around the game while looking for a few features. And I found Zogres, which seemed to be perfect at first. They're in a multi-combat area, have only 35 defense, and have high hit points, and there are lots of them. Perhaps these would be the best in the game, but all damage on them is reduced by 80%. Okay, maybe I'm trying to fix something that isn't broke. Why use the salve when there's a 50% melee accuracy and damage boost from the Vigor's Chainmace? Sure, you have to use it in the wilderness and risk at least 1,000 Revenant Ether, but Elder Chaos Druids fit every other criteria I'm looking for, and lots of people know about this method. It's pretty mainstream. I'll test it on my main account to see how it compares to Autumnology's 155k strength XP per hour Darok method. I optimized my setup, making sure I could get as many max hits as possible while risking less than 1 mil. Turns out I could risk just 577k in Frostlight and Dragon Boots and get 60,000 range XP and 150,000 XP per hour in strength, or a little bit less in defense. I got something. Collection log, yeah! Arguably this is better than Autumnology's method from 5 years ago because it gives decent range XP, but I'm really more interested in melee experience. Also, a downside is PKers can interrupt the progress. A 60, oh my, look at that. He's got me out of food. And then it occurred to me, the Salve Amulet and the Vigor's Chainmace combined. That would have to be the fastest XP in the entire game. And the Forgotten Cemetery is the perfect place to do it because Anku will tag any PKer off of me in the singles zone. But the singles mechanics actually work against me. Ghosts PJ, wasting a lot of max hits because they only have 25 hit points. And Anku won't stay close to me. Still, over 140,000 strength XP per hour, it's alright. But what about if these Ankus were in a multi-zone? No ghosts, just clean and consistent XP on higher hit point Ankus. This is in the Wilderness Slayer Cave, found in a crevice just north of the Chaos Druids. And beating Autumnology's rate of 155k, it's 160,000 strength XP per hour. Finally, a breakthrough in the best strength XP in the game. And this is with less than 1 mil risk. This is what I was looking for. But then I had to confirm my suspicions about one game update Jagex made that may surpass everything we've tested so far. What if I told you there was a way better method than this? Yup, even with the 50% boost from the mace and 20% boost from the salve amulet with a max hit of 76, there's still a better method. It's also in a safe zone, doesn't require frequent banking, and has only come into the game due to a recent update. I was so confident the salve amulet was the secret to unlocking the new fastest XP in the game, and so this is what I found. All of these undead monsters in Nightmare Zone allow for almost anybody to gain a 20% boost to accuracy and strength while playing the minigame. Or do they? I tested the max hits with the salve amulet myself, and in my investigation found that many of the bosses do not have the undead attribute applied to them. It's these three: Nazistrul from Shiloh Village, Tree Spirit from Lost City, and Treyas Daith from Haunted Mine. All of these bosses are very old, and it's likely that Jagex forgot to apply the undead attribute to them for the salve amulet to work. But with the addition of the Ascent of Arceus and Getting Ahead quests, the Trapped Soul and the Headless Beast were added to the game and are available to fight in a Nightmare Zone dream. And Jagex did actually apply the undead attribute. And there's something else. The Headless Beast has some of the lowest defense levels but the highest hit points level out of every boss in Nightmare Zone. So I spent hours doing DPS calculations to optimize the best monsters to bring into the dream with me. And these are the 5 that I came up with: the Headless Beast, the Trapped Soul, Arg, Moss Guardian, and King Rolled. Arg and the Moss Guardian are not undead, but they do have strange XP modifiers. Arg has a 17.5% XP increase, and Moss Guardian has a 7.5% XP increase. The Trapped Soul and the Headless Beast are undead, so I get the salve's effects to work on them, and King Rolled actually has much less HP, so that means less time spent killing him, and a lot more time getting those XP and damage multipliers from the other monsters. So I put my theory to the test. I did 2 trial runs, one with a torture amulet and the best 5 monsters you can bring into Nightmare Zone with that torture amulet, and one with a salve amulet enchanted and the 5 best monsters you could bring in with the salve amulet effect. And it turns out that it is correct. The salve amulet actually results in higher XP per hour. It's not a lot, but it is noticeable, and also it's not really great for getting Nightmare Zone points, but it is really good for hitting that max XP per hour, which I want to show you right now. Now, ever since the Getting Ahead quest, it is now better to AFK with the salve amulet in Nightmare Zone. If you're just looking to AFK, that's great, but if you want to get a little more extreme with it, you could bring in the salve amulet, the torture amulet, use the piety prayer, and also bring in an alt account to kill off the monsters that don't have any damage or XP multipliers. 100? That's so cool. Oh my god, I'm getting 200k XP per hour. 116! What? Another 116. Look at that. Still maintaining 119k per hour. Wait, not 119, 190. This is so cool. Whoa. Now, just to be thorough, I wanted to test out this method. Every time my opponent teleports, I don't actually deal any damage to him. Now, I was doing this by myself, and I was only using this teleport in particular because it's infinite. You can use the Gnome Royal Seed Pod forever, and you'll never run out of charges. It doesn't cost any money. The problem with this is it actually takes around 10 game ticks in order to teleport and then re-teleport again. So what I did to solve this problem, especially because I'm doing it alone, I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't accidentally kill my opponent by just one-shotting him there. So what I did was eat potatoes, which it added 3 game ticks to my attack cooldown, and I wouldn't be able to attack again until my opponent was actually ready to teleport. And this worked out perfectly because it lined up the 10 tick cycles exactly how I want, but obviously that does lead to a reduction in XP rate. And you can't do this with just any teleport because that would be very bad for ragging. Basically, I could just keep teleporting, hit him, teleport, and you're not allowed to do that. They made a patch so that you couldn't do that anymore, which is why I'm going to leave, not lose my ballista. And that is why you have to use very specific teleports that Jagex hasn't patched yet. One such teleport exists on the Xerix Talisman. And of course, it turns out that this is actually better than the Nightmare Zone method. This is so fun. Oh my god, this is so fun. What the hell? This is blowing salve out of the water. Yeah, you can get 220,000 XP per hour with an alt account. The downside of this is that alt has to be completely Zamorak brewed down to 1 defense, has to have 99 or higher hit points, and it would be way better to use Darox than any other setup, because if you use a weapon that's too fast, then you'll end up dealing the damage on the opponent, and if you just delay your attack like I was doing before, then that takes away the whole point. So Darox really is the best here. That said, this actually would be pretty good for an Obsidian Mauler Pure. Anything that takes over 5 ticks to use that is pretty optimal for the account build to train with, such as an Obsidian Maul and a Berserker Necklace if you only have 1 attack. That actually would be pretty good here. And just to note, I originally saw this method done by a bot farm because Sir Pugger made a video about it, which I'll link in the description below. So this is the fastest XP per hour for strength specifically that I was able to find, but that doesn't account for any spec transfer methods or using tons and tons of accounts at the same time. For example, there's this method by Blind Idiot. and he is using 2 ults to spec transfer himself while he Crystal Halberd special attacks neck reels. Now apparently this can result in over 380,000 strength XP per hour, which is substantially more, but the prerequisites to achieving that are so high, and it is a lot more actions per minute than the methods I've shown you here. So I've gone down a massive wormhole just to figure out what would be the best ways to train this account up when I finally do train its hit points. And so when I go AFK on this account in Nightmare Zone to get its strength up and get its hit points up, I will be using the following 5 monsters: the Headless Beast, the Trapped Soul, the Sand Snake, Count Drainer, and the Kendall. These are different from the main account, obviously, because I have access to different monsters as a pure. And now to see if this account is any good.
Tango down.
Will he die just a fire wave? Nope, he won't. Oh! Is he dead?
Nope.
Come on, I can one-shot this guy. Did someone just splash on me? That's for PJing me. Oh my god. Karma at its finest, yes. Oh my god. 2 mil? Well, I just learned what the hit point stat is for. At least to say you'll probably be seeing me at Nightmare Zone pretty soon.